All right, you guys. So how did you each get to the place where maintaining a highly conscious relationship is actually possible for you?
By making a lot of mistakes in all sorts of departments. I think one of the things is we've talked about already is becoming conscious within your own individuality, becoming taking the time and having the willingness to clean out the dross and work through those basic fundamental belief systems, dealing with your how you've perceived your childhood to be the cause of things and getting past that and bringing consciousness to it. So for me, I've had years of doing that. And then the mistakes, it's how you approach mistakes. I think humility is one of the most important things in having a conscious relationship. And by humility, I mean that understanding of I'm going to come into this relationship, and no matter how conscious I think I am, there's going to be times I'm going to go, no! You know, I've done it again, I've been an idiot, I'm doing that thing. And when you can have an approach to that that says, I understand that's part of being human, and I can include that for myself and my partner, then you're in a place where you can start having a conscious relationship.
Yeah, and going on from that, I think, like you guys, you know, I've spent a lot of time in the self-development spiritual industry and just really taking a good long look at what was going on in my life, you know, and I think, like a lot of things, I think the spiritual path chose me, and so it made me look at myself through a number of things like healing modalities, learning to teach yoga, practicing yoga, that kind of thing, and that just really gets you to sort of look at your own closets and clear out any emotional, mental debris, really. And in the doing that, the attraction stakes are very different when you start to look at relationships in a separate way, you know. So it's a lot about me looking at myself and in the relational context as well, because I think there's the self-development, there's the spirituality, but there's also how am I in terms of relating to this relationship. So I think we're always learning, aren't we? We're growth in progress. So it's never going to be perfect all of the time, and it's allowing the authenticity in that. So we've come to each other knowing that we've done a lot of self-development, which I think really has helped hugely amounts. You know, we're both much more conscious because of our pasts. However, we're now in that process of just learning to really relate to each other on a different conscious level, and that is a beautiful place to be.
How about you?
How about me? Well, you know, I was first exposed to a lot of these ideas through a relationship course I took in the mid-90s. But for years, everything lay dormant. And during that period of time, you know, I was really struggling with an issue, one that all it seemed like I did was resist for about 15 years. Until, you know, there was a point in that process, you know, that I later realized was called a quantum shift moment, where I just finally decided that, you know, I was no longer going to resist this thing. And as soon as I let go of that resistance and decided to accept it, my whole life changed. It was just like I was upside down, and I was, you know, willing to explore and accept, and I think that was really what enabled me to be ready to meet Molly.
Great, fascinating.
Yeah, you kind of had the easy route that all of us think we just want to make that jump. And
I prefer the easy route, yeah.
You know, I think one of the biggest catalysts for me was growing up in a family where, you know, we never ever said the L word. We never said the word love. In fact, I couldn't speak that word until I was about 18 years old. I forced myself to learn how to say it out loud because it was really difficult to sing along with most of the songs on the radio when you couldn't say love. You know, my family communicated through anger, resentment, and all of that kind of stuff, and I escaped that place and just really, I wanted to do something differently, and I went on a mission to find a different way to relate. And I'm a hard worker, so I attacked that.
Yeah, and it's beautiful because, you know, there's this thing about happily ever after out there as well, because movies and songs do depict this thing, this place. And for me, I really feel that conscious relationships are the closest thing to happily ever after that we have. And, you know, that's what I feel now. I always knew this was out there, but with a lot of willingness, like you say, to participate in your own growth and healing, then it brings you into a place of where you can experience that feeling. So I wouldn't swap it for the world.
It can happen, the happily ever after, but it doesn't happen on its own, just magically, and it just falls on us, and then we're there.
I think it's more like happily ever during.
Yeah. Brilliant, fantastic.